All right, let's dive right in. In the world of business, sometimes the normal pace of doing things just isn't going to cut it. A crisis hits and you have to adapt, not next quarter, not next week, but like yesterday. So today, we're going to walk through a playbook for accelerating change when the pressure is really, truly on. So, what do exploding phones, jets that are grounded, and a massive product recall all have in common? I know, it sounds like the setup to a pretty bad joke. But seriously, think about it. You've got Samsung's battery disaster, Boeing's huge safety issues, and that infamous Tylenol poisoning case. What's the one thing that connects all of these corporate nightmares? You got it. The common thread is that they all demanded an immediate, radical, all hands on deck response. These weren't problems you could just form a committee for and wait a few months for a report. The house was literally on fire, and the only choice was to act, and act fast. And this brings us to a really critical question. What actually separates a regular, everyday project from one that is genuinely, existentially urgent? Let's break down what that really means. Just look at the pattern here. Real urgency isn't about a manager's favorite project or some new shiny opportunity. It's when doing nothing, sticking with the status quo, becomes an absolute threat to your survival. From Volkswagen's emissions scandal to the fatal flaws at Boeing, these were crises that struck at the very heart of what these companies do. Change wasn't an option, it was a necessity. And this is so important because we run into the danger of calling everything urgent. It's kind of like asking a room full of people if they think they're an above-average driver. Every single hand goes up, right? Well, if every single project gets slapped with the urgent label, then guess what? Nothing is actually urgent anymore. You've got to save that classification for the fires that are actually burning down the building. Okay, so you've identified a real five-alarm fire of a project. The next obvious question is, how in the world do you actually speed things up? Well, let's open up the toolkit. We're going to walk through 7 specific tactics designed to put your change process into high gear. Here they are, just a quick glance. We're talking about everything from focusing on what truly matters and ruthlessly cutting what doesn't, all the way to borrowing some really slick concepts from the software development world. Let's dig into a couple of the most powerful ideas here. First up is this idea of a minimum viable change, or MVC. Instead of trying to build the perfect, final, gold-plated solution from day one, you just don't. You release a version that has only the absolute must-have features. What's the goal? To get out there fast, provide some kind of immediate value, and then, and this is key, use the feedback from real people to figure out what to do next. It's all about learning and improving at lightning speed. A related concept is something called change debt. Think of it like technical debt in coding, where a developer might take a shortcut to meet a deadline. With change debt, you strategically and consciously postpone some of the non-critical steps of a project. The important thing to remember is this: you are borrowing time from the future to deliver something now, and you fully intend to pay back that debt later by completing those postponed steps. You know how a typical project plan works. It's totally linear, like a row of dominoes. You can't even think about starting step 2 until step 1 is 100% complete. This way is safe, yeah, but wow, is it slow. It just creates one bottleneck after another. But in an accelerated model, you stop thinking in a straight line. You start creating parallel tracks. The front end and back end teams, they can work at the same time. The documentation can get started alongside the development, not after it's all done. When you run tasks in parallel like this, you dramatically compress the project timeline. Now, these tools and tactics are great, but they are only half the story. To really make this work, an accelerated change project needs active, smart support from leadership. It is not enough to just demand that people go faster. You have to create an environment where speed is actually possible. Probably the single biggest shift management can make is moving to an agile mindset. What does that mean? It means letting go of the rigid 5-year plans and instead embracing flexibility and constant collaboration. It's about being okay with not having all the answers up front and building a process that can adapt as you learn new things. And this isn't just some vague philosophy. It's a list of concrete actions. You create small, empowered teams. You hold quick daily check-in meetings to keep everybody aligned. You deliver work in small, usable chunks. And maybe most importantly, you have the courage to change the plan based on what you're actually learning from the feedback you're getting. Let's be real, working at an accelerated pace is demanding. It can lead straight to burnout if you don't manage the human side of things. And that's where incentives, public recognition, and celebrating those small, quick wins become absolutely vital for keeping the team's motivation and momentum going strong. One of management's most critical jobs during a high-speed project is to basically be a professional blocker remover. The whole goal is to anticipate what might go wrong and clear the path for the team before they even hit the roadblock. There's actually a really practical tool for this. It's called FMEA, or Failure Modes and Effects Analysis. The idea is super simple but incredibly powerful. Early on, you get the team together, and you just ask one question. What could possibly make this thing fail? This helps you spot those potential disasters up front, so you can make a plan to ensure they never derail your progress. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground, from high-level thinking all the way down to specific on-the-ground tactics. Let's pull this all together into a single, comprehensive playbook that you can actually use. And here's how it all connects. On the left, you've got the tactical tools for your teams, things like MVC and running tasks in parallel. But those tools only work if you have the right support from management, which is everything you see on the right. Adopting that agile approach, removing barriers, recognizing effort. See, neither side works without the other, but together, they create a system that is built for speed. And that brings us to the final and most crucial point. A crisis that demands you to change at high speed isn't a matter of if it's going to happen, but when. So the real question is, when it arrives at your doorstep, which tool from this playbook are you going to reach for first?